Mimori Tuka, a little child with less personality than a sack of pebbles, is presented to us. Because of his harsh parents and difficult past, he has been accustomed to living alone and is now impulsively trying to blend in and stay out of trouble. The moment, Soku is being tormented in the class presidency by the class jerk Oyamada, who has taken her book without permission, and nobody seems to be concerned enough to support her, especially not the instructor, who is obviously dissatisfied with his work. Mimori gets up from his seat and asks Oyamada to return her book since he feels that no one is trying to help Soku. Oyamada is taken aback that someone as unassuming as Mimori would dare challenge him. But just as he is ready to start tormenting Mimori as well, Takudo, the class clown, interrupts and orders Oyamada to stop. Takudo rejects Oyamada's attempts to win him over by saying that he wants to educate Mimori how to be a background character. To be clear, he has no interest in Mimori or Soku in general. Simply said, he finds Oyamada's antics tiresome and wants to put an end to them. Although Oyamada doesn't like it, he is forced to listen to Takudo and calm down because he is the alpha. Oyamada comes back, takes Sobu's book, and settles back in. However, in an attempt to amuse himself, he stealthily begins to abuse Yasu, the child opposite from him. At last, the instructor raises his voice and orders Oyamada to stop bothering Yasu. Though he doesn't really care, he will forfeit his annual bonus if Oyamada pushes Yasu to the point that he jumps from a bridge. However, the teacher is okay with Yasu jumping off a bridge after receiving his bonus as long as he flips. After then, everything on the bus quiets down. But all of a sudden, the students are brought into a chamber and welcomed by the goddess Vicious. She adds that every time the horrible demon emperor makes an appearance, her realm, Elian, calls forth fearless soldiers to combat him. 2 centuries have passed since the demon emperor last appeared, and happily the heroic efforts of the earlier heroes proved to be too strong for him. But now that the great emperor has returned to life, Elian has called the pupils to be the kingdom's future heroes. Pupils believe this is all a joke, or that they all perished in a bus accident since. They are still highly perplexed by all that has transpired thus far. Drawing everyone's attention, the instructor says that while he's not sure what's going on either, they should all simply listen to Vicious for the time being. Thinking he gets what she's been saying, Vicious thanks him. He is actually simply dazzled by Booba, though. Putting the Preverna instructor aside, Yura pauses to evaluate the circumstances. There's only one conclusion to be drawn. This building doesn't seem like anything he has ever seen. A goddess is standing in front of him, and he doesn't feel like he's dreaming. In actuality, they have been called to another realm. Takunda explains that although the goddess wants them to fight this so-called demon ruler, he is curious about what would happen if they don't comply. The goddess informs them that although she is unable to bring them back to Earth, there is still a chance for them to return if they choose not, to become heroes from another planet. The only method to obtain the evil element needed for the reverse summoning ritual is to obtain it from the demonic heart, demon emperor, or to take in the element when it is discharged when the demon emperor passes away. Vicious does the only thing she can, and urges them to think twice before risking their lives to battle. This demon emperor, since Loyamada, still doesn't see why any of them should. After all, Vicious almost abducted them, even though Vicious calls them saviors. Soper steps forward to announce herself as the class president. Given that they are still just in high school, they wouldn't be much help in a conflict. Vicious assures her that since they have been given abilities that no other person on the planet possesses, she shouldn't worry about it. Vicious chooses to show them a brief demonstration to help them understand that exceptional powers really exist, because they are all finding this difficult to comprehend. She commands the release of a prisoner, who is subsequently devoured by a demonic beast. Vicious then unleashes a flame to burn the prisoner alive after the demon has ruthlessly mutilated it. The pupils need to have been sufficiently shocked by that to allow them to understand that they are in a different environment. Vicious points out a crystal ball that will be used to assess their skills to them now that they have begun to trust what she has been saying. Students come up one by one to have their skills assessed, and they all appear to have reasonable ability. Notably, the crystal ball flashes a vivid crimson hue when Oyamata approaches it, indicating that he is extraordinarily strong by the norms of this planet. Takuto is the next to arrive, and as soon as he touches the crystal, it breaks entirely. The goddess reveals that Takuto is S rank because of what has just transpired, which has left everyone stunned and perplexed. It is already quite fortunate to have a single S rank hero because S rank is the highest level in terms of power and ranks above all others. However, as the aptitude test goes on and Sogu smashes the backup orb they brought in, it becomes clear that she is also S rank. Furthermore, there is a third S rank that breaks the second backup or binary storage. Vicious wonders who will be the next hero on the roster, since she is so amazed by how amazing everything is getting. And it turns out that someone is Momori. The gem glows purple as he touches it with his palm. He asks Vicious what his rank is since the light coming from the orb isn't as strong as it was with the others, but she dismisses him and motions for the next person to get forward. Mimori simply accepts it and moves on since he is accustomed to being ignored. However, he discovers that Yusa was the last individual tested, and the orb displays a black mass in the center, indicating that he is the group's dark hero. Furthermore, the dark hero is frequently significantly more powerful than any of the other heroes in the group, according to their records. In other words, everyone should exercise caution since the quiet youngster recently obtained a pistol. The goddess then instructed everyone on how to check their statuses, and when Mimori looks at his numbers, he finds that they are not so great. Mimori studies a little closer and discovers something called an innate skill. The goddess made this window so the heroes may acquire precise information about their skills anywhere they desire. Every hero has certain abilities that are inherent to them. Most of these abilities may be employed right away, but others may require higher levels of awakening. That's ample justification, though, since Vicious goes on to inform everyone that they will now be carrying out a crucial ritual that is essential to their success. She brings Mimori forward and informs him that since he is an E-rank hero and, as the records demonstrate, heroes of lower rank have always done nothing more than impede the actions of stronger heroes, she is making the executive decision to get rid of him. But she thought it would be too ethically dubious to murder a hero for being weak, so she chose to give Mimori another chance to prove he was worthy of his life. Rather of murdering him, she will send him to some ruins, and if he makes it out of there, he is free to live wherever in the world. If these ruins are unsafe, Mimori queries, and he retorts that, of course, the ruins are hazardous. Otherwise, it wouldn't be much of an execution site. Mimori tries to reason his way out of this by claiming that he has an innate ability to endow abnormal status, which must be helpful to the team in some way. To his dismay, however, the goddess informs him that abilities and spells for abnormal status in this world are completely pointless because they rarely function as intended and, even when they do, aren't very helpful. Mimori makes an attempt to invoke the goddess' morals, arguing that she shouldn't be able to just get rid of him, even if it was she who called him here without his permission. However, given her moniker, I doubt that she really gives a damn. Yasu hugs Mimori's shoulder while he is attempting to accept his fate. Mimori believes Yasu will defend him since Yasu once assisted him when he was being bullied on Earth. But now that he is powerful, Yasu has become just as much of a bully as the rest, mocking Mimori's weakness and dooming him to an awful end, and that everyone else only wants him gone. As a comforting gesture, Vicious throws him a magic bag, and Mimori rises to face his fate. But at least one person there is aware that this isn't right. When Sobu intervenes and requests that Vicious rethink disposing of Mimori. But Vicious is determined to get rid of Mimori, so in order to silence Sogu, she just knocks her unconscious. Mimori tries to use his abnormal status effect skill to paralyze the goddess since he can no longer take the cruelty and ridicule, but sadly, the goddess has an anti-abnormal status shield that she hasn't used since the high-end era. She makes fun of Momori for not being able to complete his attack, and she wants everyone to see this loser sent off to meet his demise right now. At that moment, Takudu explodes, creating a massive hole in the wall. However, the goddess turns to face him. He makes it clear that his goal is only to test out his skills, and was unaware that it would do so much harm. He is not attempting to save Momori or anything else. While some of Momori's classmates take great pleasure in seeing him eliminated, others show no emotion, and the one person who stood by him was eliminated. So as he prepares to be transported, Momori abandons his background persona and gives Vicious the finger, promising to make her regret it someday. When Momori awakens among the deserted ruins, his system informs him that the low light level in the region prevents him from seeing his status panel. At that point, he recalls the bag he got. Thus, after adding a small amount of mana, it produces enough light for him to see once more. But, while exploring, he comes upon a human skeleton on the ground. Since the skeleton remains in the ruins even after death, Momori becomes uneasy. He eventually trips over some pebbles, which is fortunate for him since it lets him avoid a terrible monster's surprise assault. He can't stop for even a second or think about where he's rushing to because he will be killed. Not fear, but annoyance is what Momori is experiencing as the monster closes in on him after he trips over a boulder while running. Annoyance that he is destined to die due of all those idiots who abandoned him. Because it seems doubtful that his anomalous status effects would be effective, he has no tools with which to defend himself and no practical skills to employ. Still, he's going to do all in his power to live. So Momori casts Paralyze on the creature, and to his amazing surprise, it succeeds. But he doesn't want to stay to find out why, so he flees once more. While he accomplishes this, he convinces himself that the paralysis had to be a one-time coincidence because Vicious had mentioned that aberrant status effects are not very often. However, in his rush to get away, Momori eventually encounters another creature that like a hybrid between an insect and a chicken. Momori lifts his hand, fully expecting paralysis to fail. But amazingly, it works again. Whatever it is, it's going to kill him if he doesn't act immediately. 2 times in a row indicates that his effect's success rate is far higher than what the goddess had promised. One might be an anomaly. Even while Momori can protect himself with spells, it won't help him if he runs out of mana to utilize them. It's conceivable that his status effects are different from the weak ones that are inherent to this planet. He is down to 1 mana point. Thus, he uses it to poison the creature, which causes it to start dying gradually. Momori can merely sit back and wait for the monster to perish. Because his spells have a very lengthy duration and a high success rate, he doesn't sure what will happen if he attempts to use his status effects again because he officially has 0 mana points left. But the first monster has already caught up to him, so he doesn't have much time to recover. Momori is ready to fight for his life, even if he runs out of mana because no one will rush to his aid, even if the paralysis effect he cast earlier must have worn off. This is the end of the part 1. 1,000 shares for part 2.
Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do subscribe to the channel and click on the screen for more contents like this. See you over there. Arigatou.